Alright, I'm here once again, streaming some programming. I've got a nice casual Friday. Not going to be forcing myself to work too hard while I'm programming, but I still like getting through a little bit of stuff. So no use delaying that. I may as well switch on over and get some work going. Let's see here. Actually, let me just see that I've got everything set up the way I want. It all looks good to me. There we go. All right. Actually, let me bump this camera up a little bit. Whoop. Sure, that'll do. That'll do just fine. I've been doing programming streams during the day, and then in my evenings I've been once in a while doing some gameplay, and I've been playing Celeste. And I don't know, I just looking at other streamers, it's kind of no need to have a big massive me face on the game, so I shrink it down a little bit. But for programming, it, like, you know, if there's something down here, I can scroll and just move it out of the way. So this seems fitting. Enough babbling though. Where I was last was working on this, actually. This random background generator idea. And I want to actually, let me just plan out a little bit what I think I want to do. FUB. I think I want to finish up the implementation of the SVG background generator. Maybe, well, and then, so once I have that, then I want to actually break the BG generator into its own project file and folder, probably. Then after that, start experimenting with alternative 3D data model, right? So that means current model uses vectors of indices to other lists. Is this smart? I don't know. So alternative idea, use a tagged tree structure like hiccup or instaparse output. So the idea there is I want to see basically mess around with this by creating a extruded triangle part. Once using the current way, again using the tree way, see which is easier to work with, / maybe even try timing. Can I do that? Time? Is that a thing in here? Time this expression. Oh wow, that's cool. See that? It's like 10 times faster the second time. Oh, it probably memoized the result, actually. Do I know what I'm talking about? No, I don't. Let's do 20. Or maybe the JVM is warmed up or something. Who knows? Doesn't matter. Yeah, so I could even try time. There we go. There. Yes, those are kind of the three things I'm going to do. So finish up the implementation here. Going to start nice and easy. because it's kind of fun. So the thing I wanted to do next was make it possible to put in different colors for the lines themselves. And the way I'm going to do that is, if I look at what a line produces here in the REPL, I have to give it a point, 0, 0, 0, 0, since I'm in 2D, 1, 1. That makes a hiccup element here. And if I do hiccup.core/html of this line, that'll compile it into polyline tag string, and you could paste this right into an SVG element in your HTML or wherever, and it'll draw that line from 0, 0 to 1, 1. But if I look at this here, it has a map in it that has the stroke color already baked into it. So the kind of cheesy way to change that without reworking my data structure here is so since the structure itself is a vector, and vectors are maps of their indices, I can do get, right? From this vector, I want to get the 0 position thing, so it should give me 1, and the 1 position will give me 2, and I think it gives an error, or it nils out if it doesn't exist. Okay, right, that's fine. So, but if I imagine that the line output, if I just pretend that it's a map, right, where the position 0 is its tag and position 1 is all of its attributes in its own map, I can do get from the line 1, and I'll get just the map, right? And then if I from there get the stroke, this will return black as a string, and that's the string that I want to change because I want different colors for the lines. So what that means is I can do there's a soch map key val, right? So if I were to a soch map is this, the key is 0 and the value is 3, this should return a vector that is 3, 2, yeah, right? So I could just kind of do, like, I could nest in a soch, but there's this function associate in map, right? So line 0, 0, 1, 1. So that's a map, it's a vector, but it's basically a map. The key and keys here is a list of keys to associate, and I believe it's stepwise. So if you have a nested map, that's what associate in is good for. So the first key that I use is the index 1, and the second key that I need is stroke, right? And then in that position in the map, the nested structure, associate into it the value, right? And this value will be whatever color I want, pink. So now this is producing a valid hiccup element equivalent to the one earlier. The only difference is the stroke color is now different. So I'm going to take this idea and put it in the document here, right? So this comment will break, but I'm going to delete it in a minute. It's just a reference, right? So if I define line A as assoc in of this whole thing, 1 stroke, right? And then instead of black being the color, let's do something really noticeable. Let's make it pink, actually. Why not? No reason not to. And then def LB is actually going to be the same thing. Assoc in this line 1 stroke. Wonder what it will look like if it's a different color. So if I save that, it should build correctly, and we should see blue and pink all over the place. Oh, well, not quite. There's some errors. Let's see what I've done wrong here. MD to page, there we go, of slurp background.md, end of file. Oh, I must have, oh, that's right, like I said, this breaks it. Big problem to fix. I think I might use, whoa, that looks, I mean, that looks really cool, but that looks so weird. Oh man, that's kind of neat. It's totally not what I need, but is hot pink? So these are CSS values. So I think I could even put. Let's see what that looks like first of all. Yeah, that's kind of cool. I dig it. Okay, so we have some form of ability to change color here. I kind of wonder, well, let's see, what am I thinking, what am I doing? Well, so I like the color of the lines, but I also want to add the ability to color the background itself. The first thing that comes to mind is just to build a rectangle underneath all of that. So that's what I think I'm gonna do. Containers is not what I need. Annotations, label. Oh, did I not put ooh, right, I forgot to, I have to fix this again as well. But square is kind of what I want to do. Thinking square, arrow. Well, let's do this. I'm going to copy this as an example, and in the draw library here, containers, helpers, what should I call it? It's not a transform, it's not an annotation, it's a shapes and things. Yeah, that'll be fine. Give it a name. Draw shapes. Begin source Clojure. Right? Paste that square there. I do want to call it box. What's a good idea here? Rectangle. And I'll change up the function in a moment because I have to add this section into the tangle so that into the code structure here, sources, draw transforms, draw shapes. Now if I save that, or when I save it, let's close all these drawers up. It's not an annotation, it's a shape. If I define rectangle, yeah, save that. It's tangled, so last tangle it said 18 code blocks, it says 19 now, so that's okay. 1 second, checking my, yeah, we're good there. Good there. If there's anyone tuning in right now, I hope you're having a great day. Feel free to post some chat in the chat, comments, questions, anything like that. Tell me how your day's going. If you just want to sit back and watch as well, that's totally cool. I mean, also if you're watching this after when it's not live anymore, obviously you can't really engage, so just hope you're having a good time, you know? Hope any projects you're working on while you're listening or watching this are going well for you. All that kind of stuff. But hey, feel free if you're watching right now to go ahead and comment. I'd love to engage. Okay. So these are the lines. First off, let me properly let's call it a rectangle, and it has to be it needs a width and a height, right? And it's not calling square, it's calling rectangle, width, height, nil. Color, width, height, color, right? So class line, if there's no color, it's clear. So these here, line and clear, are classes that I have built into like the minimal CSS that gets injected into the HTML page. So that should be okay. Width, height. Save that. Now I should be able to use the rectangle function in the document now. And I should be able to just call it directly here. Rectangle 10, 10. And the color is going to be blue, slate gray, because that's less harmful to the eyes. Ooh, it doesn't work. Okay, that's fine. Why not? Unable to resolve symbol rectangle in this context. Are you sure about that? Well, let's have a little peek here. Let me go here. Let me open. Let me make sure I tangled everything properly. Source, stylo, draw, open. I should see rectangle near the bottom here. Okay, so I did, oh no, here it is. It should work. I'm a little bit surprised by that. Could kind of force the issue here. If I just put this in the REPL here. Unable to resolve symbol fabric. Well, of course you are, because it's the wrong word. If color, so this is just an if statement. If color, so the if goes like this. If you do a test, so a predicate, right? So if true, well, I don't need to put that in brackets, it's not a function. So if true, or some function that returns true false value, if true, the true value goes here, run if true, right? And then the false goes run if false. So there's another similar thing called when, which basically just is the true only branch of an if statement. Now, is that the fairest way to describe it? I don't know. When true, print line, it's true. There. But if when false, it does nothing. Oops. Man, I gotta get more keyboard shortcut proficient. I'm still fumbling all over the place. Well, at least now there's a rectangle symbol. I wonder if this will work now. See if it spits an error into the REPL or if it successfully builds. It built. I don't know why it prints just up there. I guess because it's not running on the, like it's running on its own thread or whatever, so it just like spits it into wherever, but it can't put it right here. I don't know. Just a rough hypothesis. Okay. Comment that out. Oh. What's a color? Green. Green is a color. Green's a color, for sure. Okay, so the color part's not working, and that is because I had copied this from the fabric extension, which I used for quilt pattern stuff. And with the quilt pattern stuff, I have all the color data in CSS classes, but that's wrong here. I just need a fill. Right, so I actually don't need this class thing at all. I can just do fill, and I don't need this. I can just do if color, color, otherwise black, I guess, as a default. Oops. Sometimes tangling slows it down a bit. Let me put a little note here. See if there's a way to make tangle not lock up the file /emacs, because that's tedious. Save that and see if it works now. Should probably work. Hey, there we go. Slate gray. Save that. There we go. That looks like, it looks almost like legitimate work. Yeah, that's okay, huh? That's alright. That's alright. Let me fix that. And now let's make the rectangle the proper size. It's going to be width divided by scale, height divided by scale, yeah? Width scale, height scale. There it is. So I do notice, actually, since the stroke width of the lines is 2 pixels, that it actually does extend past the fill of the shape itself. So it should extend it by 1 pixel, right? So I wonder if I do stroke same, if call, otherwise black, there, and then stroke width is 2 pixels, 2. See how that works. Hey, weird. Why did it do that? I don't understand why it's doing that. What? Let's get back to something that works for a moment. Oh, maybe it was working. I just had to refresh the page. Let us see. Yeah, okay, there we go. Now it's an exact edge, but the pixel dimensions of it I don't think are going to be technically exactly correct. But so be it. Let's just pick some colors that look kind of cool together first of all. This Nord theme is what I'm using here. It's really subtle and I really quite like it. I think it's nice. Let's see if this works in here. It should. And let's see what color looks good with that. How does this look? How does this look? As that. Hey, hey, sleek. I think that'll actually make a really nice subtle background for this. Like for behind my camera here. Obviously, next steps will be on the stream side of things. Will be making the rest of it all cohesive and nice looking. I've just got right here, like I just made this overlay with my iPad really quickly. It's kind of neat, but it's not the best. I can make it better. We could do better than that. And stuff like this is kind of a fun way to do it. Right, so this is still an SVG, right? Like if I want to use it in other programs, I want to be able to use either SVG or like PNG or something. So I have to figure out how to get PNGs out of this whole thing. But before that, I actually have an idea. Does CSS do HSL color? Oh, it does, I think. Yeah. Let's just directly paste this in. That's the background color. It does work. It looks horrible. Does it make a difference if I don't label it as %? Doesn't appear to. Oh, yes it does. I spoke too soon. Okay, so def an HSL string, right? Given HS and L produce the string that is the correct code HSL H comma, space, oh, excuse me, S percent, comma, space, yeah, L percent, comma, space. Oh, is that gonna yield a valid string? Let me find out. Let's actually paste that in the helpers thing in the draw thing right away. See if it's correct first of all. HSL string of 0, 100, 25. HSL, oh, I forgot, I don't need that, I need a closing bracket, so good thing I pasted this here. Yep. That looks right. This isn't like the smoothest way to do string work, but it's so easy to do it this way, like as at least as prototyping, that I'm pretty okay with it. I am okay with it. There we go. So the idea I'm experimenting with is, instead of this string here, I just run HSL string on 3 random integers. Hue is what? 0 to, what's the maximum? 255? Whoa, oh right, it's like degrees, 360. So rand int 360, rand int, this one only goes up to 100, right? Does rand int work that way? Clojure.repl/doc rand int returns a random integer between 0 inclusive and n exclusive, right? So it has to be 101 so that it can be 100%. Rand integer 101 should work. Theoretically. Oh, okay, yeah, it's making random colors. Hey, that's actually kind of cool. So I wonder, see, the problem is if you like it, a color scheme, but like you want it to print. Can I delete this? Will this break it again? Let's see. Man, that's kind of a nice looking color. I like that a lot. But that's okay, it doesn't matter. Oh. So I could actually let me try something a little crazy. Let lines be the list that is these things, but I don't need to define it anymore. I just need this, and this one. Yes, so now I should be able to delete these. Let lines be this list, it's those two things, right? And for these blah blah blah, move get lines, which is here, random 2. Okay, so nothing should change there. And the reason I want to do that is actually because I want to create color VG color, which is a call to HSL string, which I'm just going to copy paste from here because I'm lazy. Background color. And then the line color is the same thing, right? It's 2 random color strings generated at the start in the let binding, and then the line, each line is going to use the same random color, like that. And this should still all work. Yes, it does. Cool. Man, that's actually kind of nice. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. The whole reason I put those in the let binding is actually so I could do this. Figure will this work? I wonder if I could actually just background color, L color. I don't think that'll work. Yeah, okay, so it doesn't, it only showed me the final result in this thing here. So I think if I do it in a do, let me see. I always mess this part up, how to do like multiple things in a row. I always forget that because I don't do it that much. Clojure.repl/doc do. Special form evaluates the expressions in order and returns the value of the last. Okay, that's not what I need. If no expressions are supplied, it returns nil. Do each. Do. What other do is there? Do all. What does do? What's the difference? Do and do all. When lazy sequences are produced, they have side effects. Am I thinking about this correctly? Not sure. It would appear, no. Oops. Come on. Oh, may have goofed things up a little bit here. That's my bad. Don't want to do that. You done? Please be done. Okay. Whew, we didn't ruin things. There we go. Oh, silly me making silly mistakes. Alright, so we have that. It produces the figure that we want, but I also want it to, after the figure, oh, saved it twice. I do want it to show me these. So, can I actually do it inside the figure here? Save that. It's an error. So I'm kind of breaking my assumptions with how an executable block works, and that's causing problems for me. Will that work? Try that. Nope, not the way I want it to. What if I wrap it all in a list? Then Hiccup, I think, will actually render that one thing at a time. Well, did I make the same mistake? I did. I just gotta wait for that for a minute. Alright, here's what I'm gonna do instead. So this as a proof is working. I'm gonna break it out into its own gotta get rid of this. I'm gonna break this out into its own little tiny little project so that I can run it on the command line and just make like SVGs. And then pipe that into, I think Actually, before I do that, I'm going to try one final thing. Okay. Ooh. I think I accidentally killed the REPL. Kill it. Yeah, it stopped running. Shoot. That's my bad. Let me start it up again. Cider REPL. Cider jack in is what I mean. Alright, REPL's up-ish. I had a quick load thing here. I'm going to try this on the builder itself. Load file. It's not chunk, it's going to be source stylo slash builder.cljc. Yeah, is that right? Let me check. cd dev stylo cd source list cd stylo list builder.cljc. Yep, that's good. Source stylo builder.cljc use stylo.builder. I wonder if this will work. It did. And now all I have to do is run the watcher. No? False. Oh, because I'm not in. Now let's try that. Okay, so it didn't work the way I thought it would. Oh, because these aren't loaded. I see. That's fine. That is fine. Instead of this, which I don't need, just get rid of that. Build. So there's no watcher right now. Let's start a watcher. Okay. Refresh the page. Yeah. Save this. Oh. Still spitting out errors, but we're making some sort of progress. Stylo.draw. Nope, that's not the right namespace. No, builder's the right namespace. Of course. Let's open the file. Symbol HSL string doesn't exist. Ridiculous. It absolutely should. Let me open the file and find out what's going on. Source, stylo, draw, open. It didn't get tangled in there, huh? Draw, helpers, draw helpers. It's right here. Maybe I didn't see it. Well, that's weird. Excuse me. Draw helpers does tangle into that file. What's going on? Maybe that never saved? It's in there now. Save this. Still giving me errors. Why can't you resolve that symbol? It's in there. Load file. Source stylo draw.cljc. Let's try now. Okay, there we go. Now it works. I shouldn't make it print out to the REPL when it's a whole file's worth of text. Weird stuff happens. Because I think, because it tries to like parse it for syntax highlighting as it goes. And it's really useful for small bits of things that are printed to the REPL, but if you just spit a whole file's worth of string in there, it kind of chokes, as you see. And then it slows things down, so that's not good. Just wait a minute. Should be fine. Actually, be right back while I wait. There, sure. I'll be back in just a moment. Alright, what have I done? Things slowing down to a crawl here. I've made a foolish mistake printing all of this to the to my REPL here. There we go. Boy, oh boy. What a goof. Be right back. No, I'm back. I'm back. So I wonder if there's a setting in Cider that like prevents strings from, like if it turns off string print after X number of characters painted on the screen, because that's kind of pretty clearly what silly man like me needs. All right. Oh, that's pretty ugly. Build another one. Another one. Nice. Sweet. Okay. Let me... No, that's not what I wanted. Let me do something really, really silly. Let me find the SVG element. Oh man, see this? A massive file. It's too big. It doesn't need to be this big. See, so this is why CSS is really quite helpful. I could just get rid of, instead of the, well, the points would have to be something, but all of this, instead of being literally in every single polyline element, it could just be declared once and drastically cut the file size. So room for improvement there, to say the least. But what I'm doing now, I'm gonna just copy the SVG out of this, save it as a file, and then I think I downloaded like an SVG to PNG tool, and I'm gonna see if it'll work. Is this even doing anything? I can't tell. Oh, this is gross how big this is. Actually, you know what? Let me make my life a little easier here. Shrink the whole thing down. Now we have something a little bit manageable. Also, I could do this, I think. Copy. Copy inner, make a new file, paste it, save that as an SVG. Is that gonna work? Let's find out. SVG. Oh shoot. Why isn't that working? Fill is 0, points are that, stroke is that. Oh. Right. I have... Well, let's close that for a moment. If I go here and I look at view page source, here I have this non-scaling stroke as a CSS property. go to this for a minute. Okay, so there is a utility I found. I think it's like a Node.js utility. If I do man Svg Export, does that have a manual? No manual entry. Oh, that's okay. Svg Export help usage. Okay. Oops. There we go. Svg Export input file, output file, options. I'm pretty sure I can pass a CSS string into the options. Styles. Yeah. How does that work? Well, let's just try it. First off, let's run Svg Export from bg.svg to bg.png. Unable to load file. File not found. Did I not save it? Oh, I'm in the wrong folder. There we go. So, should, if I go, let's close these. Background.png. So it's a PNG, but it's wrong because I don't have that style properly pasted in there. So if I do this, try run this command, I think this will work. Didn't give me an error. It's a sign of maybe working. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we have a shell command that I can use to actually make a PNG. Now I just have to wire it all together in a way that's not utterly insane. Obviously, if I look at, let me go here for a minute, clear, if I do list for the file size of this SVG, 146K, that's kind of way bigger than it needs to be by a lot. I think. But actually, what I want is to not actually worry about it right now. I'm gonna start just putting a new little project together, just cause that I can capture that at least in its own little folder, and then I can put it on GitHub and actually release it somehow. Got to make it usable, of course, but I'll get there. Right, so I have some implementation of the SVG background, break it into its own project, which is what I'll do now. So I'm gonna go, oops, main projects. Oh man, I forget where to, I'll just put it in this spot here for now. Ooh, RBG, sure, random background. Make it an org file for now. There's no reason not to, although it's not perfect. Okay, so that's blank. If I save it right away, it'll create the folder. Yes, I want to create that. Now, I can copy the header and stuff like that as a base. Speaking of, where am I going here? Work log. Automate new org file project creation. Copy, paste isn't good enough. There we go. But if I do paste that, instead of stylo, it's random background generator, deps.eden dependencies. I am just gonna leave it as Clojure. Well, there's no reason not to do that. Tools CLI might turn it into a CLI. Hiccup I was using. Hiccups I think works fine on the Clojure script side, so I'm gonna leave that. Garden is the CSS producer. Leave it in for now. Instaparse. Do I need Instaparse? I actually don't, because it's just. I also don't need the directory watcher, and I'm not doing. I should do test check. Yeah, I'll leave it in. So that's a base dependencies thing. This JS snippets thing is useless to me. Sources. Yeah, okay. Let's get rid of all this other stuff. Call it core. Right? That way something makes a little bit of sense. Clojure name core namespace. Core namespace. The rest of these don't exist, so they disappear. Clojure namespace rbg random background.core, and I wanna. It'll look kind of like this namespace, right? No, it'll look actually like this. So I'm going to require a bunch of stuff. Hiccup is that. I don't think I need deflm, nor page, nor form, so that goes away. Element I don't think I need. This doesn't exist. Instaparse isn't there. And that watcher's not there. So it turns out it's just Clojure string as S and hiccup core as a starting point, which works for me. The main function begin source, let's give it a name, core main, which core main might need to exist somewhere else, but if I define main let's have it take no arguments first of all. What? Oh. Clojure. So what this will produce is okay. Right, so what is going on here? Stylo, I'm going to close. Alright. Alright, enough goofing around. I mean, I guess there's nothing wrong with goofing around, it's fine. Let's see if this namespace actually works. String and hiccup should work. rbg.core. There we are. Seems to be working. So main right, so if I save that, no such file or directory. Oh, it's not automatically making it? That's a shame. Make dir source, cd source, make dir rbg, cd rbg, touch core.cljc. See, that's not very helpful. Will that work though? Yeah, it tangles it now. Let me go here and let's just test that it's working. Syntax error. Something didn't tangle properly. Core namespace. Name core main. Oops. What is happening? Let's find out. Okay, so there is code here now. Let's try run it again. Hello, me. Just out of curiosity, let me run with Lumo. Me. Will that work? No such namespace. Huh. Right. So Lumo is a Clojure script in Clojure script. Like, it runs on Node.js, so it actually doesn't use the JVM at all. So it's nice and quick. But I didn't set it up. I still have to figure out how I can make my scripts and tiny programs work both in CLJ, so the JVM, and on stuff like Lumo or the Plank, like on other Clojure script-based REPLs. I don't completely understand all that works yet. But this function, CLJM core, works with an argument there. Yeah. Okay, so that's a good sign. It's a starting point. Main function. I don't know what to call this yet. Clojure. Name. Core. Generator. Yeah. Right. Now, finally, I can copy this and get started moving it around so that it is properly working. Let's go helpers. Core helpers. Core helpers up there. HSL string, which I closed, so I just have to remake it for a minute. Taking HSL, produce a string that is well, actually, let's just write it out. HSL bracket H comma space S percent space L percent close bracket. That works. Oops. HSL H S L. Oh, did I do it backwards? There. Oh, no, that's extra there. Let's run that. Nope. Oh, I have to actually deafen that. Whew. Helpers, HSL string, 1, 20, 40, HSL 1, 20%, 40%. Yep, looks good. And then def base CSS, it's just going to be a string with line, right? Line will have the property view page source, vector effect, non-scaling stroke, And since this is just going to be a small little thing anyway. Oh, no, never mind. Wait, did I do have garden here. Garden.core refer CSS. Does that work? Line vector effect non-scaling stroke. Yeah. Yeah, okay, that works. So instead of this, I can define the base CSS as a list line properties, we'll do it that way. And I'll make it a map. Yeah. Vector effect non-scaling stroke. Right, because I can add to this map, I can assoc onto an empty map anything, right? The key and the value is anything. Yeah, okay, so that works. So I can assoc into the line properties thing the colors so that I don't have to declare the colors of a line every single time. So that should reduce the file size of an SVG, should make things a little more bearable. So that's what I'm thinking. That's what's going on here. Yeah. I'm thinking I'm probably not going to have time to get to this, start experimenting with alternative 3D data models, unless I just start doing it loosey-goosey, like if I'm not paying attention to this background generator anymore. But that's neither here nor there. In a moment, actually, Clojure call shell command, run shell command, run shell command. Clojure docs, always helpful. Hey, if there's anyone watching now, I hope you're having a good time. Feel free to leave comments, ask questions, see what I'm up to. Let me know what you're up to, anything like that. If you're watching this and I'm not live at the moment, really appreciate that. Thank you. And please feel free to send messages with improvement ideas, anything like that. I'm just getting started, but I really do love streaming my programming and stuff like that, so I really hope to keep it up. And I really hope to share it around so that more people can join in on the fun, you know? So if you're there, feel free to leave a message right now. I'd love that. Sure. Oh, this looks cute. Let me try this one. That's funny. Shell cow say. Well, do I have cow say? Hi. Nope. I don't have cow say. Well, let's just do the lame one. Let's do echo hi. Yeah, okay, echo will work. Clojure Java shell. Let's add that here. Require clojure.java.shell shell refer that should work, I think. Let's see. Yeah, okay, so now we have shell. What's the syntax of this? Shell, the command, and then the arguments that you pass as string. Shell echo hi. Oh, cool. Okay, so if I do out, what am I doing? What am I doing? What a mess. Hi, new line. And if I do print line of that, it should print it. Yeah, cool. Okay, that's actually really helpful. Main function, def and main, shell call example, shell echo hi. Right, so I could define make PNG, takes no arguments at the moment. Name. Let's make it take a name, right? Then let fname equal string of name and svg to png. And this, I've seen this before. I guess it's fine to do it. That kind of means it has a side effect, as in it takes the svg you've got and do I want does svg, let's not get ahead of myself. I'm assuming there's an SVG file that you want to convert into a PNG file, right? So the name of the file name is the name.svg, yeah, and then it runs shell Svg Export, and then it runs well, it's not running, then it's just a set of commands which were here. How did I run it? Right. SVG name, PNG name is string name PNG, and then name and CSS becomes the string of CSS, no, string of this, styles, space, and CSS. Right, so then SVG export is actually quite simple. It's just the string string interleave. So if I have 1, 2, 3, and I want to interleave repeat space. Oh, that didn't work the way I wanted it to. Apply string to that. Yeah. Apply string to the interleave of these things, SVG and PNG and CSS, with repeat spaces. Okay, so that as a function that, okay, so that might work. We'll see. So I think, like, honestly, I'm cheating a little bit. It'd be really cool to have, instead of just shelling out to a different program to do SVG export, I should figure out how I can make my own. But for sake of getting something done, this is fine. So line properties, HSL string. The generator is what I should focus on next. Gen background, width, height, and scale. That makes sense. And then actually I can do this, and I can remove these three things. So instead of figure, I can call the rectangle function, which doesn't exist in this context, but that's okay, and the move function, which I might change, but for now is fine. Excuse me. Define rectangle as width, height, yeah. Line properties is this, but I can also define, wait, do I need to? There's only going to be a single rectangle, so I don't really need to define that in CSS. Although for consistency I probably should. Define rectangle properties. Attributes. Line matters. Yeah, sure. And it's also, well, it doesn't need vector effect. It doesn't need anything. Nothing by default, but I can associate into it a fill attribute, which will be the background color fill. So I can define rectangle as a width and a height, but I'll pass in a color too. There's nothing wrong with that. SVG rectangle What's the syntax for that? Or how do you make one? Rectangle, width, height. Pretty straightforward. Right, so that'll look like this. Rectangle, width, width, height, height, fill, color. No, that's not consistent with what I was there. Yeah, so that should stay the way it is. Define rectangle. I also have to define line, right, to be AB, just AB. And it'll similarly SVG line. Oh, that's a bit of a pain. Wow, that's really not a big deal. X1, Y1, X2, Y2. So I need a little helper there. Define point string helper. Yeah, sure. A and B, where A and B will be, I can actually destructure it. Well, let's be a little more clear here. Let X1, Y1 be from A, and then X2, Y2 be from B, like that. So that is an example of destructuring. So A here as an argument is going to be an X and a Y point and an X and a Y point for B, but I only need X1, Y1, X2, Y2 directly, so it automatically destructures them like this. So A is a list of 2 items, and then in this let binding, bind the first entry to X1 and the second entry of A to Y1. If A happens to contain alternate entries, like more entries, it doesn't matter, it just ignores them. Or like, because they're not, like they're still there, you could get them from A, but they're not bound to additional symbols. Pretty helpful, pretty useful. So this is going to return a hiccup structure that is line. Oh wait, no, I'm in the wrong function. So this is actually going to be a string, and the string is going to have to look like, oh no, I don't need a string helper for this. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here. I'm not thinking through what I need. I can do the destructuring X1, Y1 right here, A, X2, Y2, B, right? And then the line is going to be line with X1 is X1, Y1 is Y1, X2 is X2, Y2 is Y2, just like that. Right, so if I send those to the REPL, oh, I haven't defined move. Define move as it has to take an X and a Y. X, Y, whoops, move X, Y, and it's going to take an item, like the thing, item, sure. And then to move it, actually, since this is just a really specific example, I can actually associate in, yeah. Thinking for a moment. Since I know line, move line to be terse or specific, no, move, it will be a line every time, so I'm gonna make it a line like that, right? Then X and Y can just be so if the line is drawn, it's just the deltas, right? So it's the new X plus the new Y plus the originals. So yeah, let OX no yeah, original A yeah. So I know it's a line, so I'm going to abuse that fact a little bit and just get the structures directly. So I know that OX1 is get in, whoops, just get in map keys, get in the line from 1 X1, right? That's OX1. OX2 is the same thing, get in line 1 X2. Same with OY1, get in line. I wonder if I could do this kind of crazy. OX1, OX2, OY1, OY2. And then instead of writing the same thing 4 times, I actually map a lambda function where you're getting in from the key. You map that over this set of keys, x1, y1, x2, y1, y2. See if that works the way I expect it to. I'll just return OX1, OX2, OY1, OY2 just to test it, right? Line. So if I make a line from 0, 0 to 1, 1, line 0, 0, 1, 1, and then if I move by, well, it doesn't matter yet. Yes, okay, perfect. I should make this just y1, x2, y2 like that. And once again, I will be right back. We're back at it. Right, so this is working, this weird sort of one-liner. It gets all the values that I need, and then yeah. So all I need to do is so for the move, it's going to move by dx, like the delta of x provided and the y provided, right? So all I need to do is add this x value to this and this to produce the new ones, right? So I'm just trying to think about a concise way to write that out. Because all it'll be is a soc in, right? So let's do this. Oops. New x1, new x2 is map plus ox1, ox1, ox2, and you're going to add x, repeat x. Likewise, and y1, and y1 and y2 is map plus onto oy1, oy2 of repeat y. And that then means A is nx1. Well, wait, I don't need to do that. That's a let. Now, a soc in. I wonder if I should thread first. Let's see. Thread first, line, into a soc in line 1 x1 new x1. I wonder if there's a way to kind of do it in bulk. Oh. Well, let's keep going down this road. This has to still be 1. x1, y1, x2, y2, and x1, and y1, and x2, and y2. See if that works. Move 10, 9, the line that goes from 0, 0 to 1, 1. Wrong number of arguments. Oh, of course, I did this wrong. X2 and Y2. Hey, there's something. Oh, it's wrong though. No, is it wrong? No, it looks right. Wait a second. I did something wrong. I did do something wrong. Right, like this original line 0, 0, 1, 1 goes from 0, 0 to 1, 1, but if I move it in the x direction, x2 should be 11, not 10. Right? Oh, here's why. x1, y1, x1, y1, x2, y2. That should be right now. Yes, there we go. Okay, well that was more complicated than it needed to be, maybe. So I'll get an equivalent result if I do this. If I associate into line position 1 the map of the values, then it's doing it in one shot. x1 and x1, y1 and y1, x2, new x2, y2, new y2. I should see the same results. Yes. And it's not sequentially, it's not adding those things one at a time then. And that, let me move line, because it is literally only good for moving the line. Right, where was I? Generate background, width height scale. Yeah. produces a rectangle. I don't need the background color of the rectangle because it's not where I need it. The lines themselves also don't have the color passing into them. VG color, line color. Defen random color. Should just be this thing, HSL. Sure, that'll work. And these shouldn't be in the generate background because it should be in the generate CSS, right? Which doesn't need anything. Kind of a helper, right? So generate the CSS, you do let background color is a random color. Likewise, the line color is a random color. Yeah. Then with that, you create the CSS structure. I also don't need this line, the lines. Yeah, I think this makes sense. Just have them be lines. For XY width height of scale. Move those. That looks good. Okay, so the generate CSS then is it's going to be a list of two list entries. The first one is the line where you assoc into line attributes the key stroke. Speaking of, line attributes stroke width 2 should be fine. Line attributes stroke width 2, and the let's see, stroke line cap, that's what I'm looking for. Stroke line cap, make it round. That's the default line attributes. The default rectangle attributes is nothing because it doesn't need to be anything. So line, associate into line attributes stroke, random color, no, background color, yeah. And then likewise line, no, rectangle will be this, assoc rect attrs fill. Oh, fill is background color for this. This is line color because it's the lines. Close that list, close that. So generating the background should produce an SVG. Well, not totally. It'll produce the inner bits of an SVG element, so it'll be a bunch of lines, right? Well, yeah. And then the CSS, let me see that this works. Random colors unresolved, I didn't build that function, my bad. Okay. Okay, so let's run generate background, give it, oh, this signature is wrong. I don't need these colors in there because they're not used at all. There, gen background. Right, the width, I'm just going to make it 100, the height 100, the scale 10. So it just spits out a whole whack of lines, which is what I want. And then gen CSS should have different values for the colors every time, and they are different, but this is the same. And the rectangle fill, yep, that looks good. So if I run CSS on gen CSS, yeah. Then if I run HTML on gen background of 50, 50, 10, it does produce, okay. We're on the right track. Right, so the last thing don't need that. I can actually close that. I'm going to leave that open, but I'm going to open stylo draw, defin SVG, deflm SVG, okay. So this reference, define SVG as the thing that produces that. Width, height, scale, and content. Is that going to work in here? Let's do SVG. Width 200, 200, scale 10, and the content is blank for now. Right, so that's an SVG tag, width, height, view box, and the transform on a G element that contains no data. Perfect, so should that be, well, let's change this to gen background lines. Naming things is not my strong suit. Then define gen background is then taking width, height, and scale still. It runs svg width, height, scale, right? And then the content is gen background data width, height, scale, which should work. So if I gen background width 50, 50, 10, right? Wrong. Oh. I don't need to put that in a list, it's just direct. Yeah, so if I do HTML to transform that, this should be a valid SVG thing now, right? It should be valid on its own. Yeah. So then here make SVG name spit name let file name be string name .svg. That's the file name. So if you spit file content, yeah, spit f name, and then the contents of that are going to be, contents will be HTML of generate background, right? And I'm just going to make it small as a default starting point, 50, 50. Well, let's make it 100, 10. That's the background. See, make SVG y. Right, now if we go list that, there should be wa.svg, and if I open wa.svg, what'll that open in? I don't know what my computer's doing right now. Oh, what? It opened it in Chrome? I don't like that. I don't want that. I see nothing. Inspect. Okay, so there is an SVG in there. It is a thing. Oh, okay. It looks promising. Promising. Okay. I wonder. Let me just copy this. Get rid of Chrome. I want to put it in here. Yeah. I wonder if I'm in the wrong spot. if here in make SVG I first do HTML of style containing CSS of gen CSS. Will that work? It might work. I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see. So run make SVG. Nope. It's not a valid element name. What? Maybe I have to, I think I have to do it this way, list. Yeah, that worked. Hey, it's not valid. Junk after document. Can you put a style tag inside SVG? I wonder. It is possible. Yes, I know. 6 ways. Yes, using attributes. I don't want to do it that way. Using the style attribute and CSS properties. Style equals that. Yep. Inline style sheets. Okay. I can kind of do it. Or I can. Boy, that's a bit of a pain. Has to be in a C data tag. Right. Okay, so let's go back a step here. Take this thing out because I don't need to do it that way. It's silly. Pop this back up there. Right, so make SVG works. So now I'm gonna run, well, dangerously. I'm gonna see if this will produce a PNG image. Right, the name is wa, right, and the CSS is going to be the string CSS gen CSS. Unable to resolve it. Right. Let's try this. No such file or directory. What? What does where do? Built in what? I don't know what where does. I was wondering if this shell is not working because so no such file or directory. Is that because it's not running in this folder? Because wa.svg does slurp wa.svg, right? It does exist. Well, what does this string like actually look like, first of all? Right, instead of shell, see what that's actually trying to do. Right, so it should work. Almost. Well, so actually let me take off the CSS part of this one. See if that like works as a command. No such file or directory. What is the current working directory when I run a shell command from echo pwd Yeah, okay. So let's run that shell command. Shell echo what? That's not it. Right, that's not helping me. Why? Okay, I think I'm not thinking about this right. I'm close. Well, I think I'm fairly close to having the answer to this. But it doesn't know, for whatever reason, when I run this shell command, what Well, let me try to do it the manual way for a minute. Shell Svg Export, and then I want to do it from here, this whole line, right, slash wa.svg. I want to spit it to wa.png. Why is that? So I guess when I run a shell command through, like directly in the REPL, it doesn't have any of the aliases of programs set up, presumably, unless it's a built-in or something. I don't totally understand this yet. Encoding, environment. Override the process directory with a string. You can bind environment or dir for multiple operations. I don't get it. Feed the shell with environment variables. Oh, okay. Hello wouldn't work since we act as the shell. Okay, let me see if I can make sense of this. Okay, so I have to set up the environment, override environment variables. Man, what is the default environment? How? I don't understand. Man, that's a little bit of a pain in the tuchus. I don't fully understand that. Let me just see, before I go crazy, let me do, let's get the string, right, of CSS, gen CSS. There's a string. I can use this. Now, if I run here, list wa.svg, if I do svg export wa.svg, right, wa.png, and I do styles is this whole thing, well, that that work? It did. Well, perhaps. PNG. I'm not convinced that that worked the way I expected it to. Well, let's go back and do this. Let's try something this way. Let's do this CData mess up thing here. Right, so style. Let's define a helper. No, we'll define it here. Def SVG style. And as a reference, that's here. So SVG style should contain the form like this. Style, which has type, which is equal to text/CSS. Then it should contain the string SVG style containing CSS string. Yeah. Right, so it'll contain string of CData, CSS string, CData, yes, new line, that, and this will be the opening CData tag, like that, with a new line. Make sense? Sure, why not? Ooh, nope, this is a string, style. Okay, let's try that. SVG style, right, is the CSS string from gen CSS. It looks like it might work. And then if I HTML that, it should turn into a proper style inside there. Okay, so that does mean if I go in here to make SVG, if I go actually into here, generate background, SVG generate background list. Here I should be able to do, no, I don't need to do HTML. I should be able to do SVG style of CSS gen CSS. Right, that's a list. Gen background. Let's try that. Let's make an SVG. Make SVG. The name of it will be why not? Wrong way. wa.svg. Hey, okay. Now we're doing something nice. Okay, so now this here, let me get rid of, let's just retype it. Svg Export wa.svg into wa.png. See if it works. No. Oh yeah, I just had to refresh it. All right, we are basically there. Let's go back here. Let's actually rerun. Come on. Let's rerun the make SVG. If I refresh the browser, yeah, it's randomized. Perfect. Okay, so now let's at least let's wire up this main function so that it can take some arguments. And here, make SVG, we'll do let's assume it needs a name. It needs a width and a height in pixels and a scale, right? Name, width, height, scale. Yeah, sure. Width, height, scale. So if I run that, make SVG, give it a name, ASDF. The width of it I'm going to make 1920. The height is going to be 1080. The scale is going to be 10. Keep going the wrong way. ASDF. Ooh. That is looking fancy. I'm digging it. Sweet. Okay. Okay. Did that not... let's run it again. Come on. I think... yeah, okay, so it is randomizing things. Maybe not the background color. The background color is not changing. Why is that? Gen background. Gen background data, right? Fill. Let me inspect. Actually, let me inspect this. All lines. Oh, there is no rectangle being drawn. Why would that be? Right here. So the rectangle is here, but it doesn't make it into the data structure. So, hey, your oxes, sorry if I mispronounced your name. How's it going? Hope things are going well for you. Also, I hope I didn't just tune out your chat message for a while. Sorry if that's been a little bit since you messaged. My bad. If you're still there, hey, let me know what's up. I'm just messing around, not working too hard, not working too smart today, to be honest, but messing around with some Clojure, making some random background generators, that kind of thing. Nothing too crazy. Hope everything's going well with you. Okay. I know what I can do. If I do a for loop for A, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Oops. And all I do is return A. That should be a sequence, right? If I concatenate something, ASDF, onto this for thing, does that work? It does. Okay, so what I'm going to do there, so that this rectangle actually gets in there, is just concatenate the rectangle, and the for loop. What? Oh man, what happened? Where am I? This here. So that maybe should work now. I'm gonna find out. Jeez, keep popping around the wrong way. Is there okay, so there's a rectangle here that hasn't been transformed. Like the hiccup compiler missed that, or I did it wrong. Both are very likely possibilities. Both are very likely. Rectangle. Let's give it a width of 10. Let's see what it spits out for me here. HTML. We'll compile that. Okay, so it should be a rectangle, height, width, rectangle there. And hey, Euroxis, I'm not sure if you're still there. If you are, I do apologize if I missed your message, if it had been sitting there for a while. That's my bad. I got a little too zoned in on what I was trying to write here. Feel free to message or not. It's totally up to you. Anyone else who's watching, feel free to join in. I'm cool with all that. That'd be fun. Okay, so let me just run this function, background data, with a width of 10, 10, and a scale of 2. So it shouldn't make a ton of so concatenate. I made an assumption that's wrong. Maybe. Try conj. No, that's also not right. This should work now. Sometimes I don't pay enough attention to my data structures, and then I just goof around with conj or concat. I don't know, like there's almost certainly like a way smoother, more intelligent way to do that, but when I'm just mocking something together quickly, I find it just works in my brain to do it that way, you know? Is it best practice? I wouldn't be confident saying yes. So now that I've done that, let me try to make the SVG again and see if it has a background like I want it to. Wrong way, as usual. Yeah, there we go. Let's run it again. Does it have different random ones? I've got to run it a few times and find out. Yes, it does. It's not a random number generator doesn't usually end up with good color combinations, as I'm learning. But hey, it's a fine starting point. Hey, that's kind of neat. Oh man, that looks cool. I'm happy with that. Now, let me run Svg Export on that asdf.png, and we'll find out if it'll actually work. And if it does work, that's great. Right now, moment of truth. PNG. Ooh. Let me see here. Open asdf.png. That looks pretty darn crisp. What's the actual resolution here? How do I... Is there a way, list ALH? No, that doesn't show the resolution. Oh, 1920 by 1080. Okay, so that's working the way I want it to. Sweet. Okay, now let me try to see if I can run it from the command line through this main function. Let me do... Actually, how do command line arguments work? X, Y, Z. YZ. Save that. Let me run it. CLJ main comes from rbg.core, and the arguments are going to be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4. Sure, doesn't matter. Unable to resolve symbol style. What did I do? That doesn't make sense to me. Maybe the tangle. Let's close this. Confusing me. Open rbg source rbg.core. Zoop-a-doop-doo. Oh, I left right, this is garbage. I pasted a reference thing in there and I didn't comment it out or anything. Okay, now that's tangled. If I go back here and try run the same command, I should expect it to say hello 124. That's what I expect it to print out. Yeah. Okay, so that's working at least. What if it's like this, and args, save that, and run this again without a change. Oh, wait. Args. Okay, that's something. I do have to be right back. I have to check something for a minute. Apologies, I won't be long. Alright, back at it. I don't have much longer that I can be working on this today, but I want to get at least the main function here sorted. Okay, so if I do and args here, it accepts any number of arguments after the main function is called. So what I can do with that, well, do I want to do it that way? Let's just do it the naive way at least. Name, width, height, scale. Right. So this will just call make SVG with name, width, height, scale. And then wait, I think I have to put it in a do. Print line successfully created not even put the word successfully because maybe it's not a success. Created string created name dot svg. Save that. Head on over here. Let's run it. We'll make the name real deal. And the scale is just going to be 500 by 500 with a scale of 10. It did not work. A string cannot be cast to class number. That's true. Maybe I have the order wrong in this. Make SVG name, width, height, scale. What? Oh. Alright, maybe all the arguments are strings by default. How do you cast a string to a number? Read string. Yeah, okay. That's a pain. I don't think that. Well, okay, we'll do it. Apply read string to, wait, is that even the smart way to do it? Integer? No, it doesn't, number? To nope, that's not what I need. Cast. I don't know how to use that. Clojure.repl/doc cast throws a class cast exception if x is not a c, else returns x. That's not what I need. I need to well, I'll just use read string. Apply read string to these three things, which will be something like this. It'll look like this: 500, 500, 500. I meant map, not apply. Apply map to this mess. Does that do what I think? No. That's silly. I mean, what I'm trying to do is silly, not that. That's not silly, that it doesn't work. Okay, let's do the dumb thing. Read string w, read string h, read string scale. Let's try run that from the command here. Well, that didn't work. String can't be cast to number. Gen BG data. Make SVG. Name. Yeah. Width, height, scale. Those are still getting through as strings, I guess. Number? Does this become a number? What if it's not? Right, so background data function, string cannot be cast to number. Where am I? Right, so background data these are making it into this function call as strings, and I don't want it to do that. But I thought, clearly naively, that this would work, but it didn't. So, well, instead of let me just mess with this a little bit. Let me see. Number? Well, let me just see what it'll do if it returns read string of W, like that. Save that. Of course it does nothing because I didn't print it. Is there a type? See what type this returns. Maybe that's helpful. Oops. Clear, clear. Okay, so it is a long. Why isn't this working the way I think it should be? Pop things into a let, just to clean it up a little bit. Width be something, height be something, that be something, and that something will be read string W, right? H is going to be read string H, and scale is going to be read string scale. I want to figure this out because I clearly don't understand what's going on. Oh, wait a second. I don't want to do that yet. Well, actually, I do. I want to see what happens. Let me just see what happens. Okay, so there's an error at main. Long cannot be cast to string. When is that happening? Oh. Well, now I actually don't need these calls. I need make SVG to have a name, which is a string, should be a string. Maybe, no, let's leave that alone. WH scale. Is that right? Make SVG WH scale. Yes. Okay. Now let's open that. See if it actually works. realdeal.svg. Yeah. There we go. That's something. Now, since I'm using, like, this whole thing boots a JVM just to make an SVG, so, like, it's definitely not fast, and it could be fast. So, little note to myself here is something like make a RB random background generator that works entirely in Lumo. Then make a RBG that works entirely in Babashka, maybe. Make a that works in some other fast Clojure implementation. Because that'll be fun. That'd be really cool to use the same code base in like a bunch of different spots and see which one's fastest. And then oh, I should also try to compile RBG CLJ JVM version to a binary with Graal VM just for kicks, because that would be cool. Right, so now I do want to just give it one more shot. Real deal. Let's make it 1920 by 1080. And the scale, it's going to be a big one. Let's make the scale 5. Let's see if it chokes. It should work, but it's going to be a big file. List. Right, real deal here. 3.8 megabytes. Pressing the wrong buttons. This is not going to be small. Let's see. Hey, wow. Okay, so it doesn't like, it's not very good. Let's go, scale is 12. There, that looks a lot more manageable. Put it at 100% for a minute. I wonder if that really messes with like compression algorithms on a stream. Like, I wonder if that just totally screws up the quality. That'll be fun to see. Well, that's okay. So it's working. I do want to spend, I got like 10 more minutes maybe. I gotta get going very soon. But the thing I wish was that this was working, because I don't understand why it isn't. So I'm going to try one final thing. Where is Svg Export? What? I don't know what I'm doing. Who is? That's not helpful. Oh, who is that? Of course, that's not helpful. I'll have to figure that one out later. I am going. crazy. Shell Svg Export error, no such file or directory. Shell echo working directory. See, that doesn't, it just, right, see, there is a working directory in that case. Echo current working directory. I don't understand. Let's see here, clojure.repl/document shell. Hey, there's a big entry. Okay, passes the given strings to runtime execute to launch a subprocess. The options are in may be given followed by any legal input source for Clojure Java IO copy, so an input stream, a reader, a file, a byte stream, or a string. Character encoding. Byte array. Oh, I said byte stream, I meant that's a byte array, I guess. The bytes are passed unencoded. This option is ignored. Out encoding. Environment. Override the process environment with a map. Or string if you're a masochist. Okay. So I don't want to have to manually create the environment. I want it to know. Okay. I'm going to make a little note of that. Figure out how to call shell in Clojure such that environment variables and programs that work in terminal.app will work equivalently in Clojure code. Maybe I have to set environment and dir manually every time. Or maybe there's a way to load aliases from a file or something. I have no idea. That'll be something for me to figure out. But on that note, I'm really happy with, well, those colors are maybe not the coolest, but if I run the command again, I can end on a cool looking oh man, one more try. I'll try it one more time, see if there's cool colors. Oh, that looks pretty cool. I'll make better colors myself later. This project's not done, but it's looking pretty great. I really like that this randomly generates a pretty neat looking background, and that'll be showing up in on my Twitch stuff because I like it. I'm really happy with how that turned out. Thanks for watching. If you're watching this later, thanks for that too. Really appreciate it. Feel free, send me messages, send me comments, anything like that. I love doing this. I want to keep doing it more and more, and I need engagement, and I want to engage, but I need to know. Well, I have thoughts on how I can improve things on my own, but it's always nice to see and hear what other people have to say. So I'd really appreciate that, and I hope you, whenever and wherever you are, have a good time. All right, I'm going to get going. Bye.